Welcome to the WWE Podcast Mailbag, everybody, for the week of Wednesday, July 13th, 2022, although you're probably hearing this on a Thursday, but welcome to the show nonetheless. This is the show for you guys to voice your opinions as we are just a couple of weeks away, about 2.5 weeks away from SummerSlam, the WrestleMania of the summer, and there's certainly nothing short of a lot of information to talk about, a lot of news. Vince McMahon possibly stepping down, Brock Lesnar, his return in the final match, quote unquote, with Roman Reigns. So much to get into, guys. Let's hear from you right after this. So in addition to pro wrestling that I need every day, I don't know about you, I need coffee every day, and I need quality coffee. That's why I go with coffeeofvalhalla.com. They get fresh roasted specialty coffee, roasted the day it ships to your door. Again, it's coffeeofvalhalla.com. That's coffee of VALHALLA.com, because the owner is a former service member trying to take care of his battle buddies. He donates 50% of the proceeds to StopSoldierSuicide.org. So order today and use discount code 10OFF, all one word, for a 10% discount, or you can subscribe and save 15% off of your order. So go get some coffee again at coffeeofvalhalla.com, coffeeofvalhalla.com, guys, and also donate to a great cause and have a great cup of coffee, guys. Coffeeofvalhalla.com.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast Mailbag. It was Wednesday when I started the show. It's now Thursday, the magic of audio editing. Thursday, July 14th, and we're going to get to your emails. You know what? Right now. Let's get to the patrons' emails. But before, actually, I want to welcome a brand new patron, David Taylor, who has joined us on Patreon. Thanks, David. And I got you your link to the Discord server. And of course, I'm giving you a shout out right now. So I appreciate your support. And you can join David and all of our other patrons in the Discord chat for $1 a month for everything ad free. So patreon.com/WWE Podcast. All right. Well, as also one of the benefits of being a patron is the email placement of the show, and you guys get priority placement. So let's start with Grim Reefer. He writes this week and says, Grim here. God, I hope Liv drops the belt at SummerSlam to a returning Bayley or anyone. Really, I would even prefer Tamina as champion. I can't be the only one crying all the time, and now she's trying to look tough. It's like a spoiled rich kid at public school. She's trying to fit in, but just looks uncomfortable. Yeah, like, I understand what you're saying, Grim. She feels right now a little bit out of place, given that they didn't really have much of a build for her to win this, and she won it in the easiest possible way in terms of the actual championship match. Now, she won the Money in the Bank ladder match, but she cashed in at the most opportune time as a babyface, which hurts her credibility as a champion. There's no doubt about it, which is why this match, the Money in the Bank ladder match, is tailored for a heel, because you want to take advantage. And I understand why she did. It'd be silly if she didn't, but it also hurts babyfaces when they do this, especially somebody that's never been champion before. I get it. Now, as far as Tamina, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far with Tamina as champion. I got to say, Liv doesn't feel quite right yet, and we'll have to see if her championship defenses, if she has more than one, are won by luck or that she straight out beats her opponents. So, all right. Gunther dishing out punishment to Ludwig is fantastic. It's hard to watch, but at the same time, you want him to carry on chopping. It's an interesting dynamic. One that I didn't think that they were going to do with Ludwig and Gunther, but it shows you it at least adds depth to their relationship, that Ludwig is that committed to Gunther to allow him to punish him for losing and yet still staying with him. That shows you the depth of his commitment to Gunther. and the level of respect they have for one another. Now, it could eventually lead to Gunther and Ludwig having a match. I'm not anywhere near that. I think Ludwig and Gunther are in the infancy stages of their pairing, and I hope it continues for like more than a year before they decide to bring Ludwig out into his own career. I love the way Ludwig adds a lot to Gunther's character. It'd be foolish for them to break them up right now. So, heel Viking Raiders. I was a bit unsure at first, but after they refunded the Poo Days ass-whooping vouchers, you can't help but enjoy Poo Day getting squashed. You won't even say it, huh? You won't even say it. New Day, obviously, right, guys? So, I enjoy New Day anytime they are losing. And even if it's in storyline, I enjoy watching them get their ass handed to them. Because I just, the thing is too, one of the worst parts about the New Day is that no matter how poorly they get beaten down, no matter how viciously they get beat down, their demeanor never changes. That's a huge detriment. Not an asset, a detriment to their character. Like Kofi, for example, the worst example of this, the most egregious, Kofi Kingston losing the WWE Championship to Brock Lesnar at, I think it was July 19th of 2019, I believe it was, when Fox first had their show, first took SmackDown back, and they actually took SmackDown seriously. And he loses to Brock Lesnar in like 18 seconds, and then the next week he's out throwing pancakes like it never happened. I mean, that's just the New Day's MO. They are just forever cemented as, sophomores in high school, and it's insufferable. Finish on the Judgment Day. Finn Balor looks lost as the leader, especially when he stood next to Priest, and his high-pitched voice compared to Priest is like he's got little man syndrome. I suppose a short Irishman with squeaky voice is more intimidating than Mrs. Dennis McGinley. Ooh, cheers for now. So Grim Reaper just took a shot at Dennis. Uh-oh. Well, you guys need to find a place to settle this. I mean, you got to all have WWE 2K22 or something. Settle it. So now we've all just kind of assumed that just based on star power alone that we have Finn Balor as the de facto leader of the Judgment Day since Edge was ousted. But if you remember, after they did that to Edge, they said that we don't need a leader. We don't need somebody in charge. We are in charge of ourselves. So maybe they actually don't have a leader, which I think is a mistake. I think it's a big mistake not to have somebody who's the head of that group. And so, but I would still think that Finn, based on star power, is the head of that group. And of course, having anybody speak after Damian Priest is going to make them sound like a child. I mean, Damian Priest has one of the deepest, most commanding voices that I can ever remember in pro wrestling. So anybody speaking after him, of course, isn't going to have that manly sound because you're talking after Damian Priest. So, all right. Thanks, Grim. Let's see here. Who do we talk to next? Let's talk to GMan. And he says, I meant to write in last week, but work is kicking my butt. But Liv Morgan is officially a champion in WWE. Yeah. I really hope you didn't mean that the way Angelo Dawkins says it, I have to say. I've been waiting 8 years for this moment, and I'm enjoying every day of it. She truly deserves every damn moment of it. Happy for Liv so much. So yeah, it's clearly Edge in that video. Okay, so I'm glad you see, complete opposite of Grim. Grim Reefer feels the opposite of you, G-Man. Yeah, you guys have the opposite extreme perspectives on Liv as champion. I fall somewhere in the middle. And but as far as Edge being in that video, clearly, yeah, it is Edge. I'm sad it's not Bray. I think some of us are sad it's not Bray. But I think they wanted to clear that up this past week, especially. I know they did it last week, but I was in denial. But this coming week, or this most recent Raw, they put stuff in there that's undeniably Edge. So now what kind of Edge we're getting, I'm anxious to know. I'm really enjoying the maximum male models on SmackDown. I'm so damn entertained. And when the G-Man is entertained, the G-Man is very happy. Well, I mean, that's the utmost importance, G-Man. We aim to please here, and I'm sure WWE is very happy to know that when you're entertained, you're happy, and that's the most important thing. So, but I agree. Maximum male models, I'm sure a lot of you out there expected me to come on here when it happened and just crap all over it, and I'm not. I still feel that it's entertaining in a very kind of guilty pleasure way. It's not really wrestling related, and typically I don't like the entertainment-y stuff, but for what it is right now, it especially with the commentary from Corey Graves, it's keeping my interest. It doesn't make sense. Like, my brain wants to hate it, but I can't. And Max Dupree is entertaining, and what they're doing, I don't understand why they're doing it or what the payoff is. Maybe there isn't a payoff. I'm sure they haven't thought about that, but I strangely like it. It's very weird. I agree. But so Brock whooped Chad Gable so hard he's back to Shorty G. I haven't heard that one before. Yeah, maybe he did. He hit him so hard that Chad Gable's back to being Shorty G. Yeah, that would be awful, but it's possible. Lastly, I actually really want to see Theory as the youngest WWE champion. I'm a huge fan of him, but there's no way he's going to beat Roman or even Brock for that matter. So it's going to be a failed cash in for him. Well, I understand that. Now, doesn't Randy Orton or Brock Lesnar hold that title of being the youngest champion in WWE history? It might be Randy Orton who beat Brock Lesnar out at like 20, maybe it was 22, 23. I got to find out what the person who holds that distinction as the youngest WWE champion of all time. I thought it was Randy Orton who still held that. I could be wrong, but if not, I wouldn't hate Theory as WWE champion. I really wouldn't, and that's insane to say. But number one, they have to be able to come up with the creative to somehow unite those championships, which I'm all for. And I've said before, I don't care how sloppy the writing is, just get it done. And once that's complete, then people on Raw will have a championship to compete for. But I actually wouldn't hate it if Theory is it. I don't think he's ready, and I think that they would be putting too much too soon on him, and I don't think it'd be best for his career right now yet, but I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't lose my mind. I think it would be something that they could hopefully get through and help build Theory as another top heel champion, but hey, I think it's still a little too soon, which I agree it's going to be a failed cash-in. All right, let's get to, let's see here, Alex, the French guy, and he says, "Hey, Matt, I wanted to point out the subject of Logan Paul signing with WWE. As a wrestling fan, I am the first one to be against a celebrity shooting the product or not respecting it. Let's be clear, I hate the guy from Jackass coming to WrestleMania. Logan Paul was decent, however. We fans complain about celebrities joining WWE, but when we take it from the root, what was the first thing that WWE... I'm not sure what you mean. I'm just going to get to, I'm not sure what the rest of your sentence means. I'm sorry. But you said, you heard that right. Cyndi Lauper, Girls Want to Have Fun, and Pop Idols in 1984 during a match, a pay-per-view match. The same night, the public discovered Hulk Hogan on MTV with over 10 million live viewers. In 1998, Mike Tyson feuding with Stone Cold Steve Austin. The guy made the WWE so popular during this era, non-wrestling fans could hear Tyson being, or couldn't wait to hear about Tyson being in a WWF ring. I think that the success and the goal of WWE is to establish itself as a pop culture product since its creation. WWE, like when superstars become Hollywood icons, they emphasize that their former superstars are Hollywood icons. Who is one of the biggest superstars in recent history? Brock Lesnar. An icon in a way in UFC, so a way to legitimize the business. The same plan they want to have with Gable Steveson. I can't ever say his name right. I want to say Stevenson. It's Steveson. It's weird. Point is, I think pop culture stars bring a larger audience to the product, which is what I wanted from the company, which is why we'll always have pop culture stars on the product. The thing is, of course, there are better choices than Logan Paul. See you around, Alex. Well, Alex... or you said P.S. What does the expression from Memphis Mark's spay and neuter mean? So it just means spay and neuter. I mean, like, fix your pets. If you have a male dog, get them neutered, or if you have a female dog, get them spayed, so that they're not procreating and overwhelming pounds or whatever, and making sure that you control the pet population. That's really what it's for. That's what that means. Spaying and neutering your animals. So I get it, and I know that it'll never change, that WWE's goal is to make money. Period. End of subject. People hate that. Sometimes they feel that Vince should be a charity case, and oftentimes he makes decisions that look bad on the outside, but they are a for-profit model. They're a for-profit business. Their first level of responsibility is to the stockholders and shareholders, and of course the sponsors of the show. Fans come second. We do. They don't want to believe that, but it's true. The WWE fans don't want to believe that. They think they should be number one. We're not. We certainly pour money into the company with live events and merchandise and network subscriptions, all that. But the number one source of money isn't from WWE fans. I mean, the fans could also be stockholders and shareholders, but most of us don't have WWE stock in our portfolio. Most of us. But the number one, God that they serve, so to speak, are stockholders, shareholders, and sponsors, because they are the number one source of their money. Look at all of their financials every single quarter. We are certainly a part of it, but we're not number one. So with that being said, I understand why they bring in pop culture stars. They will continue to do that. Now it's a different era right now. We know there's no Mike Tyson floating around that they could bring in. Ronda Rousey was a success, and some people fit right in. But more often than not, it's somebody that comes in that feels like they are not taking the business seriously. They're an embarrassment to the company. They're an embarrassment to the product, and they don't take it seriously. And it's like, wink, wink. Yeah, I'm doing this wrestling thing, right? And Logan Paul, it remains to be seen. I guess I'll hate it. I'll only hate this signing if they try to make him a babyface and he looks like he's not taking it seriously. That's the only time that I think I'll say this is awful. If it looks like he's taking it seriously and they decide to turn him heel, which I think he should be because he's not a natural heel as a person, then yeah, I get it. And I'd be more on board for that. Same with Ronda Rousey. I think it's time to turn her heel. I've said that many times too. So I get it. It's a pop culture company. They will continue to get as many eyeballs on the product as possible. And the dynamic has shifted where social media is where you are able to measure how many people are following somebody, therefore how much maybe potentially could you bring over as a crossover audience from that person's subscribers to WWE's product. I understand it totally. Good point, Alex. And let's see here. Let's get to, guys, I think you know what time it is. Let's take a listen. All right. Well, that can only mean one thing, everybody. I mean, I think we know who this is. It is the return of Mr. Dennis McGinley, and he says, "Hey, Matt, and all you donkey hogs." That's a new one. Donkey hogs. I've never heard that in my life. This is your heel, Mr. Dennis McGinley, and it's my birthday today. So hail and bow your head to the head of this show. Well, happy birthday, Dennis. I want to go back to Sunday, the 10th of July. I think I know whom to blame for putting me in the hospital. It's Donkey Hog Pig name. It goes by Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan. Yeah, going to eat all your words come SummerSlam, as I can't use the word on this PG show. Yeah, even if you did, I'd have to censor you. But boy, okay, you got a little program going on with Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan. That's an interesting opponent. Okay. All the words you say, or AKA research, I can shove that back in that mouth of yours. Also, there is nothing that your missus can freaking do about that. Oh my, we're getting personal. Oh boy. You're going to get a body slam from hell and a kick to your dumb face. Look, mister, I'm the heel and the bad guy of this show, and what you did, you'll pay for. You just don't know when, you donkey talking chief hog. These are words I've never seen in the English language put together. It's fun. So say these words, but that's what Roman says. Why don't you come up with your own blank? Well, I'll talk with you next week, Matt. I hope I hear more NXT reviews in the upcoming weeks, or I might just rant about it on the mailbag for everyone to hear. Have a great night and take care and get some sleep. I'm out. Well, thanks, Dennis. And NXT, by the way, guys, the NXT spot is now open if you are interested. If someone is interested in taking over the NXT review show on a weekly basis, the position is open. It's unpaid right now, although that may change, but it would be a weekly review of NXT. If you like NXT and you want to just kind of venture into podcasting, or you have before, certainly, guys, send me an email at realwwepodcast@gmail.com and send me or send me a sample audio file, and we could get you started very soon, because right now the position is open. So just wanted to point that out. Thank you, Dennis. And let's see what else we've got in terms of emails. I don't particularly know what else we have. Let me go into, I have a couple of email addresses. People are still emailing me on my old email, but that's all good. Okay, Rocky T. He says, Matt, just got done listening to the Raw review, and I heard you mention Edge will return to take on Finn at SummerSlam. But what really caught my attention was when you said he may rejoin the Judgment Day. I hadn't considered that storyline of him rejoining. So I thought about it and came up with this. Pending Edge joining the group, he could come back in a strictly managerial role where he would be the mouthpiece for the group, and therefore still elevating Damian Priest and Finn. Yes, Finn is an established name, but he can be still used to push a legendary figure like Edge and bring more meaning and prestige to his own legacy. After they banished Edge from the group, it was stated because Edge was holding them back, therefore him returning to being the manager of the group could give meaning to that statement, and Edge being biased, or being as good as he is on the mic, he can find a way to make that sound good of why they turned on him for him to come back and still be the leader of that group. So there is that possibility that he would return to Judgment Day. I agree. I think there is a small, I don't think that's, if I was going to put money on it, I would still say Edge is coming back to get revenge. I mean, that's what I believe, especially given these promos we've seen the last 3-4 weeks. They wouldn't just bring him back to just rejoin and not do anything. But there is a possibility where he says, hey, thanks guys for doing what you did. I would have done the same thing. When I see weakness, I immediately eradicate it. I squash it, and thank you for beating that out of me. You know, he could be very apologetic and thankful that they did what they did and double downing on his heelism. Why not? But being just a manager, he's a good mouthpiece, but he also can still wrestle. So why not use both, right? Like we know he can wrestle or talk, and certainly if he wants to after his career in ring is over, he could just go back to being a managerial role, or he could go commentary, or he could be a backstage agent or whatever, NXT trainer. But right now he can still wrestle, and there's not a whole lot of daylight left on that part of his career. So I would not want him to waste the time he has by only utilizing one of the two massive assets he has. So I would be against just him coming back to be a mouthpiece. He could be a mouthpiece and wrestle if he was to rejoin, but that's a big if. So if Edge comes back as a babyface to take on Judgment Day, of course, we're going to see him have matches with Finn and then have matches with Priest. And if he comes out on top of those matches, then where would Judgment Day go from there? Having Edge come back to only defeat them in singles competition would leave the group with no credibility, and therefore I would not see them as a threat. Would you? No, I wouldn't. I mean, that's the other thing is Edge comes back in the more likely scenario that he's a babyface to take on this group that he created. It's his own creation that turned on him, and then he beats them, presumably. And then what, right? Like Judgment Day has already lost a lot of credibility over the last couple of months because of what happened. I mean, they were on fire, on a track for one of the best runs as a faction that we've seen in the last 10 years. And then it just went, just petered out. And so I agree with you that would certainly hurt the group's credibility on a high level, but it's already been damaged greatly. So there's really not much left to destroy, you know? I really hope the way Raw ended with Dolphs delivering the Superkick to Theory leads to something significant since it ended the show. He always reminded me of HBK, the way he took bumps and moved around the ring. He's only 41 and he's in phenomenal shape and can still steal the show. I hope he gets a big push. Thoughts? Peace out for now. Rocky T from Houston. Thank you, T. Rocky T, Silver Fox. Thank you so much, buddy. So, I mean, that was one of the criticisms / compliments that Ziggler is extremely aware of about him being compared to Shawn Michaels. And I would never want to be known as the next, Shawn or the next Austin or the next Taker. I mean, people say that as a compliment. I would actually look at that as a negative, because then forever you are going to be compared and looked at as a knockoff of whatever legend you're comparing them to. So I understand the similarities, which is I also think why, ironically, but also intentionally, Dolph took the super kick from Shawn and just said, hey, you guys think I'm Shawn Michaels? You want me to be Shawn Michaels? Then I'll be damn Shawn Michaels. And he just kind of, instead of resisted it, just dove into it and said, okay, fine. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take Shawn's moves. You know, I think that was very intentional because he's extremely aware for the last 10 to 15 years about where and what the compliments / I guess, slights have been on him, that he's not as good as Shawn Michaels or whatever. He looks like Shawn. So I don't know what this leads to, though. You know, there's an excellent super kick, the best one I've ever seen from Dolph, but I don't know where the hell it leads. I don't think if WWE knows. You know, that's also the scary part. You know, I don't know. So, all right, let's get to the final email here, and then we'll take a break and get to voicemails. And this is Jeff from the Philippines. Number 1, in less than 2 months, Ziggler turned babyface when he superkicked MVP during Robert Roode's return, turned back to heel when he teamed up with The Miz to eliminate Rey Mysterio in the Last Chance Battle Royal at Money in the Bank qualifier, and then turned back to babyface in this past Monday Night Raw. Hopefully they actually have plans for him to after his turn on Monday, because given how many times he turned in the last 2 months, it seems like there wasn't a clear path for him. Yeah, I mean, I did talk about this a little bit already in the last 10 minutes, but a plan. You'd imagine that if they put him in the main event of Monday Night Raw leading into SummerSlam, their second biggest pay-per-view of the year, they have to have some kind of idea of what the hell they're doing with Dolph. You would hope. I hate that the bar is so low that we have to say this, right? But let's hope that they actually have something for Dolph. This may be like the last chance for Dolph's career for something significant for him to do. Except being squashed by Goldberg at a pay-per-view or whatever. So I agree. And it seems as if maybe Ziggler's also taking notes from the Big Show's career and turning babyface and heel as many times as possible. Number 2, what do you think about the WWE pushing the narrative that the Usos are arguably the greatest tag team? I don't agree with it. For example, what are the other notable moves that they have aside from 1D, the 1D, Superkick, and the Uso Splash? They are pretty much the same team from over a decade ago and doesn't have much evolution. Although we saw Jay show some character evolution during his singles run, but when Jimmy returned, they regressed back to their old tag team. Plus, their promos don't drive emotions. They'd constantly yell every word they have to say. So yes, I mean, the Usos have kind of been spinning their wheels, but they're also putting on matches that, for example, at Money in the Bank, that many people are calling one of the best matches in the last how many years? Certainly a match of the year candidate at the very least. So they can still put on, even if you're saying that character evolution has stalled a bit, they're still putting on, if they want, 5-star matches. I mean, they are capable of that. And that's something to be said, even if you're saying that they have no notable moves other than their finishers, right? But you could apply that logic to anybody. Everyone seems to do the same moves other than what's unique to them in their signature / finishing maneuvers. That's what defines you or differentiates you from other competitors, is not just the moves everyone does, clothesline, suicide dive, moonsaults. Like, those are all the quote unquote normal moves, or the bank of moves that everyone uses. But that's what all wrestlers do. I would argue is everyone uses generally the same moves, and then they differentiate. That's the word. Differentiate themselves by having different finishing maneuvers. So, but as far as their regression back to what they were, I mean, they have shown evolution though. I mean, they've changed up their look. Their promos have improved, even if they do yell every other word. They don't always need to do everything different all the time, but they're also, they've been associated with Roman Reigns, which has helped. They got, they're not the same team they were back when they were wearing face paint, for God's sakes, though, so there is that. Number 3, this is a bit late, but I know you don't watch a lot of AEW. So Cody's promos in AEW for most of the time mentions Dusty in it. So what we're seeing in WWE is the same Cody in AEW. The fans turned on him during his last year there. He even teased retiring by taking off his boots in the ring after losing a match to Aleister Black. Some say they turned on him because they see through this crap. That's all for today. Hope all is well there, and until next time. I don't know when Cody's returning. likely sooner than 9 months. WWE inflates their time so that when he comes back early, it feels like, oh my God, it's a surprise. But I do not like when Cody constantly brings up his dad. I see why fans started to turn on him. It's a little too much. Get your dad out of your mouth. Stop talking about your dad. Your dad ain't here anymore. Make your own career. We understand you're Dusty's son. You're the son of a plumber. Wonderful. Now stop trying to transparently pull at my heartstrings because you're trying to get over as a babyface. I really am. I'm already over the Dusty thing, and Cody's not even here right now. So I totally get it. All right. Well, that is it for the emails, guys. I hope. I'm sure I always forget somebody. So, but I'm just double checking my email on Patreon and everything else. We're good. Okay. So I'm going to take a quick break for the sponsor of the show, and then we'll be back with voicemails. So stay right here. So in addition to pro wrestling that I need every day, I don't know about you, I need coffee every day, and I need quality coffee. That's why I go with coffeeofvalhalla.com. They get fresh roasted specialty coffee, roasted the day it ships to your door. Again, it's coffeeofvalhalla.com. That's coffee of VALHALLA.com, because the owner is a former service member trying to take care of his battle buddies. He donates 50% of the proceeds to StopSoldierSuicide.org. So order today and use discount code 10OFF, all one word, for a 10% discount, or you can subscribe and save 15% off of your order. So go get some coffee again at coffeeofvalhalla.com, coffeeofvalhalla.com, guys, and also donate to a great cause and have a great cup of coffee, guys. Coffeeofvalhalla.com.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
Good afternoon, Matt. This is Mike CT calling in, and I just wanted to tell you, Matt, first and foremost, that I called in last week and I gave mad props to Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling Fan. And I think you might have took it a little sour. I did not by all means mean any disrespect to you, because I'll tell you what, you are the reason, your voice, and everyone who's a part of the WWE podcast is the reason I switched wrestling podcasts from the one I used to listen to yours, and I will never go back to anyone else's. Put it in perspective, I saw WrestleMania 4, 5, 6, and 7 on closed circuit satellite in New London, Connecticut. So I've been watching ever since. Long time fan, and I really love all your stuff you do. So, Matt, by all means, my man, I didn't mean any disrespect to you. I was just giving a shout out and total props to Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling Fan. That's all I meant. So, to my question, I know you're big on Gunther, and let me re-say that. Gunther as the IC champion, and I could not agree with you more. So my question is, what are your thoughts about Gunther going up against Omos eventually, and the battle of the behemoths, like the old school days? But my question within a question is, how do you build Omos up to the IC championship level? My thought on this is bring prestige back to the Intercontinental Championship strap to where it used to be back in the day. It's just, now it's swept under the carpet, and, it's kind of an afterthought. Now that it's on Gunther's waist, maybe, hopefully, this is something to build on. And I think, Gunther and Omos is a story that, we could look forward to seeing as like a Survivor Series or maybe a Royal Rumble, depending on, the timeline and how they, manage Omos. So your thoughts on that, Matt, mad props to you and everything you do. Love you, man. You're doing a great job. Please keep up the great work, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Oh, hello there, Mike CT. And so if I came across like I was being serious last week, I don't know. Sometimes I do these podcasts half asleep. I'm not even kidding. There have been many times I have actually fallen asleep or been talking in my sleep while I'm actually not conscious. It's bizarre. Anyway, but so if it came across that way, that I'm not serious. I mean, I'm glad. I really do appreciate that you like the show, that you went from whatever podcast you're listening to. And look, there's a lot of podcasts out there. I still listen to other podcasts, and there's the big ones, right? The Torch. They have great stuff. Wade Keller's great, when he doesn't have ads every 3 minutes. But I can't really talk. I've got a lot of ads on my show too. But hey, I'm glad that you've stuck with us and that you're here for the long haul. I appreciate that. And so very, very cool. So the fact that you said that you watched WrestleMania 4, 5, 6, and 7 on closed circuit TV. I think you dated yourself there, Mike. But no, that also is an asset because you have more wrestling knowledge than probably most. I mean, I didn't start watching wrestling. My first WrestleMania I ever watched in part was WrestleMania 13. So when Stone Cold versus Bret Hart happened, and then of course WrestleMania 14 with Austin and HBK in Boston. But that was really when I started. So you have, many more years than I do. But, so your question, though, about Gunther and Omos being a possible matchup and possibly for the Intercontinental Championship, well, if there's any respect at all left for the draft, that can happen, right? Because they're on opposite shows. Now, as of late, they have completely ignored the fact that there's a draft. And since they've ignored the fact that there's a draft, let's pretend that this match could happen today. I don't think Omos needs a whole lot of build-up to do this. I mean, They've already established him as a nearly unbeatable monster. Lashley's the only one that has conquered him. He was in the Money in the Bank ladder match. He had moments where you thought he could win. He is a dominant guy. He's a guy that looks the part. He feels the part. He isn't excellent in the ring yet, but we also have to kind of change our perspective or change our expectation given how large the guy is, that he's not going to put on the type of matches that like an Austin Theory does. But I think there's not a lot of work that you need to do to build Omos to that level. I mean, I think it'd be very believable if they stuck him in on Monday night and said, hey, or Friday night, and he came on SmackDown and just attacked Gunther. So with that said, there's not a lot of work. Now, if they want to do a little bit more foundational work, have him have MVP talk about how he's going to chase a championship soon, have him go on even a hotter streak on a tear, then sure. But I'd be more concerned, not necessarily about Omos, but Gunther, because he hasn't been here very long in terms of the on SmackDown part of things. He's with NXT UK, of course, but if people haven't seen him before, there's more work that needs to be done for Gunther, I think, even though he's the champion, than does Omos. Because Gunther, he's got the look and all that, but he needs more time. You want to build, these are the kinds of matchups, if they actually cared about the draft and respected the draft, that you would be fantasizing in your mind about, like, oh my God, how cool would that be? Because it feels like two separate worlds. So I think it'd be fun. If they stuck the match on, say it happened on Friday, I'd be concerned about the match quality a little bit because of Omos's limitations still, and that Gunther, I've never seen him work with somebody of that size. So with that, that is a hurdle. But I think that this is something that could happen maybe at a WrestleMania, like you said, or a Survivor Series. Hell, Survivor Series is definitely the place you can do it. But the only way you would do it is if, based on Survivor Series rules, that we have a United States champion versus the Intercontinental champion. And right now it's Bobby. So if Bobby and Gunther happen, that's still fun. But Omos and Gunther is certainly, that's got to be on WWE's radar in the next 365 days, you'd imagine, So, yeah, but that'd be fun. That's a lot of fun. So thanks, Mike. I appreciate the comments and the compliments, and that you have switched over you've seen the light. So, all right. Thanks, buddy. And let's continue on.
Hello, everybody. Alex, the French guy here, current European champion, 2 times European champion. I just wanted to talk about the subject today that is very important in WWE right now. A superstar that is very, very underrated, that is actually the best superstar on the roster. You guessed it, Dominik Mysterio. Yeah, no, I was just joking, of course. But I wanted to talk about Dominik Mysterio because hearing Matt talking about, like, he will puke if he sees one more time Dominik Mysterio and his father Ray kiss each other on the cheek, I understand the fact. But I have the feeling that I don't know if WWE is going to pull the trigger, but I would be so happy if Dominik Mysterio turns heel first, grow some muscles, as you said, Matt, grow some facial hair. It could very be like a good superstar or something. I don't see him being like a world champion or something, but like a mid-carder. And the best storyline they could do is like Dominik Mysterio turning against Ray. That would be so sick. And this I would very much like to see. I don't know if they ever did that. I don't think so, since they had the first father and son champion. So this could be very interesting, but I don't know if WWE would make that. I don't know if it's that PG, but I have the feeling that they have like an opportunity to do that, to establish Dominik like as one of the worst heel possible. Because as of right now, like, you cannot tell that Dominik is like a superstar that you can appreciate. First, because like he came into the business with the name Mysterio, and that is turn off for every good babyface, I guess, that is not like made for himself. He didn't do it by itself, by its work, by its dedication. He did it because it was the son of. So this is the good basis for a good heel, I think, and not the good basis for a babyface. So with that in mind, I really think that Dominik has all the tools to become a good heel, like, of course, with big muscles, more muscles, but he's kind of good in the ring, actually. So, yeah, like, they could turn him heel, and that would be so interesting for the mid-card. And, yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Hey, Alex, so I think they got cut off by the 3-minute rule, but Dominik as a heel, I am 100% on board. I cannot be any more on board for that, because I love how you said grow muscles. I mean, that's true. The kid he looks like he should be playing, basketball, not a pro wrestler, or playing soccer or something. He doesn't have a pro wrestling body at all, even though he's good in the ring. That's about all he's got for him, and his last name. The kid does not look the part. He looks like he's, going to attend his prom next weekend or something. Yeah, I mean, certainly facial hair, a new attitude, and bulking up would help him immensely in his career. But before that, if they want to turn him heel, hell yeah. Dominik and Ray, there's a lot to pull from, like you said. And stuff going back to 2004 that I've mentioned many times about the, who's your daddy, custody of Dominik storyline with Eddie Guerrero. There's so much they could pull from. And instead they're just, having makeout sessions in the back before they come to the ring and just constantly talking about how great each other is and all this. It's sickening. It makes me want to vomit, like you said. So I'm on board for that. And we saw, if anybody's trying to cling to anything, there's a possibility this week we saw something with the Judgment Day saying that Ray's a bad dad and that Dominik should join them. Keep an eye on that if anybody's hoping for that. So thank you, Alex. Let's get to our next voicemail.
It's Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted to talk real fast about both Bianca and Liv Morgan. First, with Bianca. Bianca hasn't, said this before, but Bianca's been pretty dull as champion. If Becky Lynch is more over than your champion, that's the problem. So I think the title's going to change hands at SummerSlam after Becky defeated Asuka last week. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm making this call before Raw, by the way, so I don't know what's happening. So I would hope Becky will face Bianca at SummerSlam and take the title away from her. On the other hand, Liv Morgan should keep the championship and see how she does as champion. I do not give up on Liv Morgan just because she wasn't everyone's cup of tea. That's fine, but it's being to push more women on SmackDown instead of relying on Charlotte or Ronda or even Bayley to extend to, which is create more women. Now they just turned Lacey heel. Why would they do that? So, well, her character is a heel anyway, because whatever. But so, create more women on SmackDown because that's what they need to do. So, keep Liv as champion, but take the title off of Bianca. But that's after you. They start calling it back.
Hey, Kyle. So your question, well, your comments about Bianca being dull as champion, she is right now, and it's weird to say because she's so talented, and she had such a nice run the first time she won, not at this past year, but the year before, is WrestleMania 37, when she won against Sasha Banks, and they had one of the best matches at WrestleMania, if not the best match last year at WrestleMania. Then it's weird to see her now, even though she won the championship at WrestleMania again and repeated. People are just very kind of blah on her, and I think a lot of it is people have seen this before. They're kind of maybe ready for Bianca to turn, see what the other side of her could be. They haven't given her a whole lot of mic time, and that hurts. And her just constantly sitting at ringside, not on the mic, not doing anything, talking how she's the EST of everything that has ever existed ever. People are starting to see through it, and I think it's time for a change. And I think they could easily do that, where Becky wins at SummerSlam, and then we have Bianca attack Becky after the match. That could absolutely happen, and have her be the sore loser, and then people boo Bianca, and then they have a double turn. I think that it's right there. Double turns aren't easy at all, but it's leaning both ways there. So as far as Liv as champion, don't give up on her. Yeah, I'm not against it. I'm not super for Liv as champion. I'm not against it. I'm just going with the flow, and I'm observing as it goes. Now, again, the credible way for somebody like her to win as champion shouldn't have been at the most opportune time when her opponent's at her weakest to cash in. Now, she did what she should have done, because that's how you win a championship. You'd be foolish not to do it at the most opportune time. But as a babyface, it hurts your credibility, especially somebody that's never been champion before. So with Liv, I'm kind of a wait-and-see approach for me. So thanks, Kyle. Let's continue on.
What's going on, WWE Podcast? What's going on, Matt? Lucky C, Houston Silver Fox here, checking in again. No rapid fire this week. I just got a couple of things. First off, at the end of Raw, I'm sure everybody saw that beautiful, flawless, sweet chin music, super kick that Dolph delivered to A-Town Down, Mr. Theory. I don't check the website for any spoilers or any updates, so I'm wondering if you know any insight onto why he did that, if there's an upcoming storyline. I really hope, I really like Dolph, so I'm hoping maybe he'll have a match with Theory, then maybe with the Money in the Bank briefcase on the line. Maybe Dolph can take it off of him. Maybe not. Give me your thoughts on that. Second of all, I will be at the Raw August 1st in Houston, Texas, which is the Raw after SummerSlam, so I'm hoping for a lot of good fallout, maybe some returns. And I wanted to know your thoughts, if maybe there's something you want me to keep a lookout for, maybe some crowd reactions on certain things. Back when I bought the tickets a couple of months ago, Cody and Seth were scheduled to be the main event, but of course that has changed with the injury. I've checked online, the card is not being updated, so I don't know what's going to happen on that Raw. We'll figure it out in the next couple of weeks. And, just give me your thoughts on that pretty much. And I have one more thing for Mr. Dennis Kinley. What exactly makes him the heel of this show? I know he's a self-proclaimed heel, and he calls everybody done. Whatever the hell. Maybe y'all can just let me know why he's the heel of the show. And other than that, I just want to welcome Road Dogg and China, the DX collection, action figures to our collection. And just wondering if you picked up on any new collectibles yourself. All right, so that's all for this week. And all right, everybody, enjoy the week. And I'll talk to you next week.
Hey, Rocky T, hope you're driving safe. No, I haven't picked up anything as of late. And I've actually been looking at that. I love my belt. I really want another championship belt, maybe like in the Intercontinental Championship, but not the current one. I actually really don't like the way the current Intercontinental Championship looks. I'm a big fan of the Ruthless Aggression / Attitude Era Intercontinental Championship. That's one of my favorites. I'm looking at that, and the United States Championship. Those are some of the current one is actually a nice one, nice looking one. So as far as the collectibles go, I'm looking into it. But so what makes Dennis the heel of the show? Because I guess he says so. And he does insult everyone that listens to this show. So I guess by definition that makes him the heel of the show. But the super kick was a lot of fun. Yes, perfectly executed, HBK-esque, no doubt about it. And if you're going to Raw, the Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam, definitely, I don't want you to sit there with a notebook. I mean, I enjoy the show. I mean, I'm not giving you any homework assignments, but if you could maybe, maybe we can like do a show or something and do like a Monday Night Raw review for that show, and you can give us an in-person perspective. I don't know, just a thought. If you have Skype, that's how I record my shows when I have a co-host. So just some thoughts here. So how about that? Because I'd love to know what the crowd's really doing, maybe some signs you see, the type of crowd demographically who's there, chants that maybe you heard that we didn't pick up on, that kind of stuff, like how full the arena is, what they do during commercial break, that kind of stuff, the stuff we don't see that, we don't see on TV as fans. So, and do I think they're going to do a Money in the Bank briefcase match with Ziggler? I mean, they could. They're clearly leading to Austin Theory versus Ziggler. I don't know what came of this, how this came about. We'll learn maybe more on Monday Night Raw, I'd imagine. But if that's the case, do I really want Ziggler as Mr. Money in the Bank? Do I want that, though? I mean, Austin Theory as Money in the Bank holder is still fun, even though I think he's going to be a failed cash-in, but Ziggler wouldn't be any better. And cashing in on Roman, I don't know. It doesn't excite the nerves, so to speak. So thank you, Rocky T. We'll be in touch, and let's keep going, guys. A few more voicemails, and we'll call it a day.
Hello, everyone. This is Memphis Mark coming to you from Mullet Manor. And I guess I've got a little bit of a different rant. I'm sure everybody's got great points on the sucky Raw from last week. But I didn't know if anybody had caught the Jordan Grace, the wrestler that she made the remarks about Chris Benoit not being able to hang with wrestlers nowadays. And the response that she got from Conan and several people that Chavo Guerrero and a lot of people really blasted her. And she did the smart thing and reached out to David Benoit, which I did not know that Chris Benoit had a son from a prior marriage that is getting into wrestling. And he's using his last name, David Benoit. And anyway, she apologized to him, and she went live on Twitter, or I believe it was Twitter or Instagram. I believe it was Twitter. And she apologized for making those comments and everything. So it was a good little interview, but it got me thinking about Chris a little bit. And then the strangest thing happened to me. This is the rant part of it. I was looking at getting a little piece of property. A friend of mine had a girlfriend. They've been dating 7-8 months, and she was selling a piece of property. And I thought, this is a few acres and nothing on it, and I was going to get it. So she came over the house. We did some negotiations and getting ready to buy the house next week. And my friend calls me and says, man, the sheriff's department was just here and they arrested my girlfriend. Well, I used some connections and I found out the person I was about to do business with has just been indicted for murdering a child that she was taking care of. Long story. But I didn't know anything about it, and I was shocked. Made me think of Chris Benoit again. Funny how sometimes you think you know someone and you just don't. Anyway, that's my rant for this week. Spay and neuter, rescue if you can. And as always, I'm out.
Holy, wait, that took a very hard right turn, Mark. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's just, I did not expect that, right? Like you usually have a much more lighthearted content, but that's effed up, my friend. I mean, so the person you're going to do business with that you ultimately didn't do business with, I mean, because that person got arrested for whatever the story is, I don't know, but they were charged with murder of a child. Yikes. Well, fate would have it that you didn't complete the business deal with this person. That's good. But still, like you said, yeah, you just never know. I mean, now everything that of course, there's a lot of there's people in our lives that we just don't know what they do in their personal life. Behind closed doors, man, you have no idea, right? Like the person you are at work is not the person you are with your friends, which is not the person you are with your family, which is not the person you are behind closed doors. We all show different versions of ourselves to different people, and only that person knows all versions. And, not that everybody has a side that is killing children. That's extreme. But yeah, I totally agree. Like you never really truly know somebody. Only that person does. So that's pretty messed up, but, damn. So Jordan Grace, I didn't see the thing. Now I know David Benoit. I did know about David, and I did not know about Jordan Grace. I'll have to YouTube that. But, I got to say, if David's getting into wrestling, that's ballsy on his part. I mean, you're carrying a weight on you that you don't need to carry with your last name. And I respect that he is, not hiding from his last name, that he's going out there and he's just saying, nope, I'm not going to pretend to be somebody else. I'm not going to change my last name. This is who I am. This is me. And I respect that 100%. But I'm sure he also has to understand that while he's doing that, and that's very courageous and bold, he has to understand that he's going to carry weight with him that's not his own. And that's just a fact. He can step away from it. People can say, oh, he didn't really do it. It doesn't matter. That name is forever, unfortunately, soiled because of what Chris Benoit did in one of the most horrific tragedies in wrestling history, if not the most horrific thing we've ever heard in pro wrestling anyway. I mean, people have died from heart attacks, steroid overdoses, fights, everything. But to murder your family and then kill yourself, it's just, especially kids. I've never done an in-depth thing with Chris Benoit. I barely mention him on the show. And it's really difficult to unravel his career from his personal life just because of how screwed up what he did was. And so anyway, yeah, pretty heavy stuff, Mark. I hope all is well with you over there, and maybe do a quick background check on somebody. If you have connections, maybe have somebody run a police report on that particular person before you do business with them, right? It seems like you have quite a bit of connections over there in Memphis. So good stuff, Mark. Well, I guess not so good stuff, but thank you for calling in. So, all right, couple more and we'll close it out.
What's up, WWE Podcast? This is Randy the Patron. I know it's been a long time. I apologize. With getting a promotion at my job means more work. So, anyway, I missed all you guys. A couple questions. One, how long do you think they will do the whole Liv Morgan winning the championship? I think they could do it for a long time, hopefully. And number two, if they do split the profits, Montez Ford, how do you think they're going to do it? And do you think they'll just have Andrew Dawkins be nothing, or do you think they'll do something more with it? That's pretty much what I got for today. Thanks again for doing what you do, Matt, and everybody else. Miss you guys, and hopefully I'll start coming back soon. Bye.
Hey, Randy. Well, first of all, congratulations on the promotion. Yes, more money does mean more responsibility. We'd all love more money with not a lot of responsibility, but yeah, that's not the way the world works. So how long do I think they'll go with Liv? I don't think they know yet. I really don't. Now, it's very possible that Liv loses at SummerSlam, and we get the turn by Bianca, and that's that. Or rather, wait, no, she's on SmackDown. I got the brands mixed up. But it's possible she loses at SummerSlam. Now, that said, I think they're also going to go with how the crowd's reacting. I think they're kind of very much feeling their way through this. And as they should, because they put her in a predicament to win a championship that wasn't the most credible way. People have been wanting her to be champion for a while, so they're seeing if the honeymoon phase is short and sweet, or if the fans are like, hey, we're in this for the long term. I really think they're paying attention to what the fans are saying at live events, at Raw, or at SmackDown, rather, and feeling their way through. So if I was to guess, I'd say at least a few months, probably loses it at Survivor Series, or rather, not Survivor Series, because there's no title opportunities there. Probably late year, maybe at the Rumble. But definitely before WrestleMania, she probably drops the belt. I'd say a couple of months, and then that's it. So, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it goes longer if the fans continue to really, really back her. As far as how do they split the Street Profits, I mean, there's a bunch of ways you could do it. Miscommunication, you start to see friction. Maybe Angelo Dawkins, or rather Montez Ford, gets tired of Dawkins saying yeah and all that nonsense. But I doubt it. So there's a lot of ways you could do it. I mean, miscommunication during a match, they start going on a big losing streak, that kind of thing. Or somebody taking the pinfall and taking credit for the win after somebody else hit the finish, that kind of thing. There's ways to do it, and they really just pick your choice. But what do I think to do with Dawkins? I think Dawkins would be a great heel. I think Angelo Dawkins would be an excellent heel. I think he's already obnoxious to me, at least in personality. In ring, he's really good, but personality-wise, he's already obnoxious to me. So there's not a lot of difference that they would make for me, or difference that they could do. But keep him himself. Montez Ford is already super entertaining, and Dawkins could be a really good heel. I don't think it's going to happen probably until next year, though. I think in 2023 they will split. How about that? So again, congratulations, Randy, and let's continue on to our final voicemail for the day.
Hey, everybody. It's Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan here. And guess what? I had to call in. I'm sorry about the background noise, you guys. Laughing works. But that's okay. I had to call in, Matt, because I got a bone to pick with you, sir. Every time my man Gunther comes out, you have to call him Gunther. Stop doing that. His name ain't Gunther. His name is Gunther. That's his name. You got to put that oomph on it. You got to put that soul into it, man. So this is my challenge to you, because that's his name, and we got to call him what they tell us to call him. So I want you to try it. After I get done with this, the WWE Podcast, we want to hear you say Gunther. Say it with your chest, Matt. Go ahead and put it out there. But enough of that, you guys. I haven't called in or contributed to the mailbag in a while, so I just want to call in and tell everybody, what's up, and let's go, Matt. You got to do it for all of us. Just say Gunther. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay. It's always nice to hear the Casual Wrestling Fan on the mailbag. It feels like it's been an eternity. And by the way, guys, he took over the WTFW show that I just posted prior to this. I'd really take a listen to that. It was a lot of fun. But you're challenging me. You're challenging me. So, it made me laugh. It made me angry. And it made me want to resist. But I'm going to do my best impression here, okay? I'm going to really give it my all. And instead of saying Gunther, I will give you the pronunciation you want. So I'm going to clear my throat. Everybody, I hope you're ready. This is the only time you'll ever hear me say it, okay? So get your recording devices out. So here we go. Ready? Yeah, so I did the best I could. I hope you guys, I know that it doesn't really sound great. I really just did my best. I'm actually really good at impressions. I try to really channel Ludwig Kaiser through me. So I hope that it kind of came across that way. I know I'm not great at it, So I don't know if you knew, but I am really good at voice impersonations. So that's probably what you're hearing there. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, because that's the only time you'll ever hear me say that. But for now, I'll stick with Gunther. But if you ever want to go back and say, see, you pronounced it the way that WWE wants you to, well, you can always go back to this recording. At about an hour into the show, you guys heard me say it the way that Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan requested. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining me here on the WWE Podcast Mailbag. You can participate anytime. If you are a first-time listener or you're a long-time listener, the way you can participate is in the description of the show with the email or voicemail number. And that's it for me. I'll be back later this week with the weekend review. And then, of course, we're back into the week before SummerSlam. So we are going to get things rolling here. And thank you, everybody, for listening again. If you want to join our NXT or be our NXT reviewer, email us at mailbag@wwepodcast.com or realwwepodcast@gmail.com. Either way, thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks for everybody for participating. And as always, take care. I'll talk to you next time. So in addition to pro wrestling that I need every day, I don't know about you, I need coffee every day, and I need quality coffee. That's why I go with coffeeofvalhalla.com. They get fresh roasted specialty coffee, roasted the day it ships to your door. Again, it's coffeeofvalhalla.com. That's coffee of VALHALLA.com, because the owner is a former service member trying to take care of his battle buddies. He donates 50% of the proceeds to StopSoldierSuicide.org. So order today and use discount code 10OFF, all one word, for a 10% discount or you can subscribe and save 15% off of your order. So go get some coffee again at coffeeofvalhalla.com, coffeeofvalhalla.com, guys, and also donate to a great cause and have a great cup of coffee, guys. coffeeofvalhalla.com.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.